Joining us right now is the legend himself, John Sterling, here on the Rich Eisen Show. How are you, John?
Well, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Did you hear your call from 1985 with Rick
Yeah, I had
Camp?
a tough time hearing it, but one thing I will tell you. One, I thought it was a terrible call.
Oh, no.
But the pitch before Camp hit the home run, I did say something out of my big mouth. If Rick Camp hits a home run and ties this game, that will prove this is the daffiest, weirdest baseball game ever played. And he did just that. He was ranked as the worst hitting pitcher in the game. And a couple of weeks before, I was on the air with Skip Carey, one of my partners, along with Ernie Johnson and Pete Van Wieren. And anyway, Camp came up in a game, and I went back to the roots of a broadcaster I really loved, Russ Hodges of the Giants. And so I said to Skip, well, as Russ Hodges would say, anyone up there swinging a shillelagh is dangerous. And Skip said, well, obviously, he's never seen Rick Camp. Anyway, that's the Rick Camp home run. Now, you know what no one remembers?
What?
He gave up 5 runs in the top of the 19th.
That's incredible.
Oh, my goodness. So he set himself up for a 5 spot, a crooked number in the top of the 19th, huh, John?
And that was the game.
And that was the game. Oh, my gosh. John Sterling here on the Rich Eisen Show. So, John, if you don't mind explaining to Yankee fans that are hearing you nationally now as to your thought process to retire after all these years now.
I'm just, Rich, first of all, you had mentioned it on the beginning. My first job, my first day on the air was February 1st, 1960. So all I have to do is say that. You can understand how tired I am. And, the games are easy. My voice, for whatever reason, hasn't gone back. So the games, Susan's the greatest. So the games are easy, but everything else is tough. And you know what? Enough is enough. So, they're going to have a day for me on Saturday. And, as I've told friends, the great thing is that starting on Sunday, I don't have to go anywhere at any time I don't want. So that's what's going on. I mean, I've been on the air long enough, right?
No, I totally understand that. Again, as you just pointed out, your voice sounds terrific, and so that was kind of a surprise, as well as it coming in the middle of the first month of the season. I think that's what,
Right.
and that's obviously.
If I was smarter,
yes,
and I'm not, but if I was smarter, I felt this all winter long. I had all these great months to myself. Now, we didn't make the playoffs last year, so I had October, November, December, January, February, March. And I should have quit. I should have done this thing on, I don't know, March 1st or March 15th. Not March 30th, because we were already in Houston then playing the opening series. But anyway, I think I've drained as much from this job as I can get. And now, although it sounds like a cliche, now it's time to put my feet up, and relax.
So, John, in your time calling games, calling baseball games, and it's not just the only sport you've called, who is the greatest player you ever saw, John? Who would you say that player is?
Wow, that's a good question. Who's the best player I've ever seen? Does this have to be someone I called or just seen when I was a kid?
No, I think it's you called in your broadcasting career. You're in a booth.
Oh, then I mean, I don't know how it could be anyone else but Derek Jeter. Derek Jeter came up to the Yankees in '96, and I kid everyone, he became the Yankee captain without portfolio. He was the first guy out of the dugout to greet everybody. And here he is, this kid, and he became the heart and soul of the Yankees on a team that had a lot of heart and a lot of soul and went on to win the World Series. But to see Derek do it on a day-by-day basis and care so much about winning and care so much about his ball club, I think I think he would be the greatest.
What about basketball, John? You called Nets games back in the day. You spent times calling basketball. Who's the best basketball player you had the privilege of calling action for, John?
I guess Dr. J. He was fabulous. He didn't get his due, and he never should have left the Nets. He shouldn't have left the Nets, and Earl Monroe shouldn't have left the Bullets. But Dr. J, I'd say as an opponent, Larry Bird. The things Larry Bird did to the teams that I was broadcasting, the game in New Orleans when he hit in the 60s and hitting shot after shot, falling out of bounds, and they hawk punch, screaming and clapping, and that was really exhilarating. And, I've done so much. I'm the type who does it and leaves it. I don't – first of all, I do everything by the seat of my pants. I live life by the seat of my pants, and I broadcast by the seat of my pants. So I've done so much. Don't forget the old Bullet days and the Nets days and the Hawks days. Dominique, he was a big part of my career, Dominique, and then all the baseball.
Sure,
I'm a very lucky person.
And then what about you called Islanders action? So best hockey player you ever saw that you called, Islanders or not, John? Who was that?
Yeah, I don't know who would be the best player, but we just lost one from the Islanders. We had a terrible year for the Islanders. We lost a lot of wonderful people.
Yes.
And one of them was Mike Bossy. And Mike Bossy was a great goal scorer and a lovely human being.
You want to take a shot at football? I'm trying to put a John Sterling, a John Sterling Mount Rushmore together here. What about football?
I don't know if I could do that. I guess because of his success, Brady.
Tom Brady.
And I certainly saw the games. Yeah, Rich, I'm one of those guys who, and I'm going to do this now, I see every football and basketball and hockey playoff game and regular season game. I mean, I love sports. It's been obviously an enormous part of my life and will continue to be. I just don't have to broadcast anymore.
I know. And, John, that's why I wanted to have you on to say thank you for all those years of enjoyment and for everybody who pulled up a chair or sat down or was driving around or wherever they heard the sound of your voice to say thank you, John, and congrats.
You used a phrase, Rich, Vince Scully phrase, so pull up a chair. Can I tell you this, how proud I am of another thing? No one would think this. And, of course, it's not true, but I think it's true. Vince Scully began with the Dodgers in the very early 50s, and they got rid of Red Barber, and they put Vinny on. And I want to tell you, Rich, I knew Vince Scully was great before anyone else. I listened to him, and Vince Scully even said, I benefited by a generation of mistakes. And I thought Scully, the Dodgers, when he was a really young guy in the early 50s, I knew he was better than everyone.
Mm-hmm. John, thanks for the time. Thanks for the great years in the booth. Enjoy Saturday, and then, best of all, enjoy Sunday and thereafter.
I will. And you and Susie get to town, you got to give me a call.
100%, John. Let's look for more of my calls. Please do that. And thanks.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Right back at you. Enjoy it, John. That's John Sterling, the play-by-play announcer of the New York Yankees, formerly of the Nets and the Islanders and the Hawks. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.